Hello and welcome to Tech24. I'm Annelise Borges. Coming up on the program, Assassin's Creed Victory has leaked. For now, all we know is that the saga's next title is set in 19th century London and will be released in 2015. In today's show, we examine Ubisoft's success story and if video games can teach us history. Plus, taking selfies seriously in Seoul. South Korea has issued a ban to try and prevent unlicensed selfie sticks from being sold. Also in this edition, a test of a dual-screen smartphone, the YotaPhone 2. Victorian London looked a bit like this, at least according to the next installment in the Assassin's Creed series to be released in 2015. Gaming news site Kotaku managed to get a 7-minute preview of the title, called Victory, which is set in 19th century England and where the player is tasked with killing members of the secretive Knights Templar organization. The news of yet another edition in the series comes just weeks after Ubisoft released this year's entries. And despite a range of bugs affecting frame rate, gameplay and online features, Rogue and Unity are flying off shelves here in France. Historians, though, are the first to point out glitches on the depiction of historical elements.
Fact or fiction? Well, perhaps a bit of both. In Assassin's Creed Unity, gamers are plunged into the French Revolution. But they shouldn't expect a quick flight through history.
It's not the same as a history school book, but in any case, it's interesting, and perhaps it will inspire people to read more about the revolution.
Set in 17th century Paris, the game has come under criticism from both players and politicians for its historical inaccuracies. But it's a battle the creators Ubisoft are not worried about winning. While the game cost 140 million euros to make, the same budget as the Titanic, it was a fairly safe bet. The series, which has been set during events like the Crusades and the American Revolution, has sold nearly 80 million copies since it was created in 2007, with 700,000 copies of the game selling in France every year. But for 70 euros a pop, some parents say they like some brains for their buck.
They learn about the Renaissance, about what people wore in this period and the architecture. That kind of thing can be interesting if the game's well done.
But the creators say this isn't the name of the game.
Sometimes we need to alter history a bit for the enjoyment of the game. It's a game, it's a fiction, it's not a history lesson.
The next Assassin's Creed will be set in Victoria-era London, so Ubisoft aren't giving history the axe yet.
Let's now welcome to the show our in-house tech expert, Dhananjay Kadokar. Dan, this leak, there's these images being revealed of Assassin's Creed's latest installment. Is it good or bad for Ubisoft?
Well, Annelise, Ubisoft has said that this leak is unfortunate. In a statement issued, they issued a statement immediately after this leak happened. But in general, I think it shouldn't be that bad considering the negative reviews that Unity has got because of the glitches. I think it's a good positive feel to the series, to the title, because now people will start talking about the next series and maybe they'll forget about what's happened with all the problems they had in Unity.
Now, one of the most talked about aspects of the AC saga is the way historical elements have been portrayed, with some parents actually looking for an educational tool for their kids, like the ones we saw in that report, while historians actually accuse Ubisoft of not paying attention to detail. What do you think? Do you think that is part of video games' mission? Can video games teach us some history?
Personally, I don't go to video games, I don't play video games with the intention of learning history. I know many gamers who would just, and that includes me as well, who just skip the story part and directly go to action, whether it's sailing boats or riding horses or engaging in combat missions. So video games for me or for many people, they are not necessarily the place to learn history. There are documentaries and other history channels perhaps where you could go and learn history. But yeah, maybe also the developers, they should be given some creative license to tweak a bit, but at the same time, there shouldn't be big historical inaccuracies which stick out like a sore thumb. But they should be given some creative license so that they can enhance the gameplay. They can make it more fun instead of being stickler to every single detail of history that could possibly compromise the gameplay. So yeah, as far as history and gaming is concerned, I don't think that's the place to learn history in its minute detail.
All right, thanks for that, Dhananjay. Now, South Korea has a problem with selfie sticks. For those of you who don't know what a selfie stick is, we're talking about the extendable rods that use Bluetooth to remotely trigger a phone to take a picture, most of the time, a selfie. South Korean merchants now face fines of up to $30,000 and 3 years in jail if caught selling unlicensed sticks. Some experts say the measure is excessive. Take a look at this report.
A harmless cultural phenomenon, or potentially dangerous emitter of electromagnetic waves. So-called selfie sticks are everywhere in Seoul, helping eager photographers snap better pictures of themselves with their attached smartphones. But authorities in South Korea are concerned about what's inside the rods. Because the most advanced versions use Bluetooth technology to remotely trigger the phone to take a picture, the government considers the stick a telecommunications device that must be tested and registered by authorities. They fear the Bluetooth signal might interfere with other devices in the area using the same radio frequency. It's a precaution many experts say is unnecessary.
No matter how many people press the button at the same time, it's not sufficient to interfere with other devices' network or to cause interference in frequencies in unlicensed bandwidth.
Many retailers agree, saying the crackdown will be hard to enforce.
Most people have selfie sticks these days. It's too late now. I think the regulation of selfie sticks is useless and excessive.
The warning only applies to unlicensed gadgets, though, so users of regulation selfie sticks can rest easy and say cheese.
We're going to move on now. Up next, Test 24. The YotaPhone 2 is a dual-screen handset. On one side, you'll find all the features of a high-end smartphone, including a 5-inch Full HD screen and a Snapdragon 800 processor. Flip it over, and you get a touch-enabled 4.7-inch paper display. Dhananjay tested the YotaPhone for us. Dan, what did you think of it?
I think it's a very interesting concept, particularly because these days we always have the problem of our phone running out of battery charge. This YotaPhone 2 tries to solve this problem by introducing this back screen. This is, as you said, a paper screen, so it utilizes very less power. And if you are in this mode, on this particular back screen mode, then you can have this phone running for 5 days on a single charge. And the good thing about this screen is that it's touch screen, unlike the earlier version of the YotaPhone, the dual screen phone. It wasn't touchscreen, but this is an important addition because now you can control so many things from the back of the screen. For example, you can make calls, receive SMSs, receive all sorts of alerts from Facebook, Twitter. Also at the same time, you can read books quite easily. For example, in this mode, if you type this, go to the back screen mode, your book now opens here. And there's a night mode as well. So if normally the problem with paper screens is that in daylight it becomes a bit of a problem to read books. But with the night screen mode, it is much easier to go through your books, flip them over, and actually control them from the back screen. So yes, I think it's a very important addition. It is a useful addition, and I quite like this concept.
Were there any downsides to this phone?
Maybe the price, it's 700 euros. That could maybe deter some people to purchase it. And the other downside, which I feel could be significant, is that the back screen is not waterproof. So normally when with your phone, you don't care about, about your back of the phone, basically, it's either plastic or metal. But here it's a bit sensitive to water. So that is the downside of the phone.
All right. And the YotaPhone 2 has started shipping in Europe and the Middle East. It will also be available in Hong Kong by the end of the month, and Taiwan as well as China in the first quarter of next year. It will go on sale in the US, Canada, and Latin America soon after that. Thank you so much for that, Dhananjay. And thank you for tuning in for another edition of Tech24. That's all we have time for, but you can get in touch with us on Facebook or on Twitter using the hashtag Tech24. And we leave you today with images of 3D printed bust and mask of Barack Obama. The US president became the first president to have a portrait completed via 3D scanning process. What you're seeing there is the behind-the-scenes process of scanning, creating and printing the historic imagery. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.